My name's Chris. I'm an alcoholic. I brought my phone for text messages. No, actually, just to see the clock because there is one, but you can barely see it. Well, I can barely see it. Okay, my name's Chris. I'm an alcoholic. You try not to obsess on what you're going to share, but I don't know how you guys are, but it's like, okay, quit thinking about that. Quit thinking about that. Because I'm thinking the whole week before, okay, now don't forget to tell them about the so-and-so, and you got to make sure you tell that funny story, whatever. So, but it all goes away. You get up here and then it's just all gone. So, but first thing I want to say is I want something kind of up to date, just in case I tell my childhood story and like never get out of that, and then all of a sudden it's 12:20. I'm going to tell something that happened recently because it's just been so huge for me in my like personal, journey and growth. So I'm going along. Here I am in my, 24 plus years of sobriety, and I get real depressed, and there was a couple things going on. Like I was thinking about, okay, first of all, the depression thing is not a huge, I'm kind of familiar with it. I mean, I don't think I'm clinically depressed. I haven't been depressed my whole life, but there's been periods in my life where I got really bad, and this was one of them. And a couple things went on. One was I was about to turn 60. So there's that. And that's the last time I'll ever want to hear that word out of any of you. Don't say happy birthday. I don't like, anyway. So I just turned 60 the other day. And so that was coming. And for some reason, that's a huge thing for me. And then, there's not much left, right? So, right, Harvey? I mean, please. Some things I was always going to do. Well, it's too late to be Miss America now. So I'm going along and feeling horrible, and I don't even really know why, but I have some things on my mind, and being single, and going to the gym like there's still hope, and all that. And I'm thinking that at this point, what the heck am I going to do about it now? You're depressed. What are you going to do? I've already changed careers and stuff like that, and I was feeling cut off from people, very cut off. And I went to a meeting one night because I always go to meetings anyway, no matter how I feel. That's just one thing. There's other things I do no matter how I feel, but that's one of them. And I saw these couple friends of mine, and I'm like, man, I haven't seen them much lately. It's like they're avoiding me or something. Well, nobody likes you anyway. You're such a loser, So that's what's going through my head, and I see them and go up and hug, and I say, I haven't seen you guys in such a long time. How you been? And my one friend goes, well, if you weren't so stuck up. I was like, wait, what? And I was like, what does that mean? Because he was kidding, but when people kid with you, they don't joke about your age unless you're kind of old. So I go home thinking about this, like stuck up. How could you be stuck up if you have the lowest self-esteem in the room? It doesn't even make sense to me. And I got home and I was laying awake, for the next few days thinking about it. And I was like going, I think what's going on here is I'm kind of judgy. Like, I put you guys in this box and you guys in this box, and you're this kind of person and you're that kind of person, and my family does this. And I had kind of put up these walls between me and everybody, and slowly I was making them worse by feeling like I had to figure out what's wrong with everybody. And it's just such a classic Chris Foley thing to have an anti-gratitude list about people. That's what I do. I walk around with an anti-gratitude list. I go in the room and I go, kind of an ugly color, And it's not that many people here. It's kind of a low day at Sunday Morning Live, and whatever. I just find all the things wrong with this situation, which is such a great thing to happen because it's such a lesson. That's how I look at everything. So I thought about this a lot in the next few days, and I went, here's the deal. I need to just love the people I come in contact with, and love the people I'm with, and love who I see, love strangers. I need to be loving toward them instead of walking up to somebody and thinking, I don't like your shirt or something. Just walk up to them and go, wow, what beautiful eyes you have, or whatever it is, find something. Because I see what I look for. And, if you look around the room right now and look for purple, you'll see purple. If you look for black, you'll see black. If you look for white, you see white. But if you don't think about it, you don't really see those things. At least I don't. And so I have to train myself systematically to see the good in people instead of the bad in people. And what's weird is, the next day what I realized is that's what I do to me. Every day I look in the mirror and I look what's wrong with me. I'm going to start working on my personality now. I start looking in the mirror and thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with whatever I see in the mirror behind me? What's wrong with the day? And 25 years almost, I'm doing that, you guys. And it has been a struggle my whole sobriety to change that, and I have. But that week, a couple weeks ago, was a huge spiritual awakening for me on this. So anyway, I was when I was a kid, I had 3 older brothers. They were 1 year apart each, or 11 and a half months apart each. So they were like triplets. And I always felt like my brothers had each other, and they were these cool, masculine, athletic, smart guys. And then there was me, like 4 years behind. Pardon me. And I always felt like, well, kind of a Nelly kid. And I didn't fit in, One of these things is not like the other. And my sister was 4 years behind me or so, and beautiful. Like, she started out, she was like 11. She looked like a young Susan Anton, if y'all remember who that was. She looked like, I don't even know who now you say, but she was like, everybody in my family, it felt like, was either gorgeous or athletic or smart or cool or fun. And then me. And I don't even really, I think about it, my parents, they really didn't mean any harm. They really meant well. I don't think they ever set out to do anything to bother us, but they just, they made a few mistakes, I guess, is how I could put it. Like, my mom was a alcoholic, and she reached her bottom, whatever her bottom was, at about when I was 16. Well, she reached it actually when I was about 10, and she stayed there for the next 6 years. You don't necessarily get sober when you reach your bottom. You might keep digging it for a while deeper. But and my dad was just like a perfectionist and kind of a little mean. And I got the idea he didn't like me, like from the moment I took my first baby steps in my mom's shoes. I just don't think my dad. Like, I just don't think he liked me. And so, Harvey, you did it, and you know it. So, he was always mad, and he did it to all of us mostly, but he just was always telling us what was wrong with us. It's such a 60s dad thing. But I took it on. I mean, I believed what he said about me, and I believed, and my part in it is that I took what my dad said about me, and I internalized it, and I believed it, and I acted on it. Because if you're a piece of crap, if you'll never amount to anything, if you'll never be anything, and you believe that, then how do you move forward from that? You do all the stuff that makes that true. So that was a little bit of a battle for me. My parents never really liked each other. They still had a bunch of kids, which is odd to me. I guess it shouldn't be such a surprise. People that hate each other get married all the time. But anyway, so they, let's see, where do I go from here? So I'm growing up with these brothers that were so cool and fun and everything. And as I got to high school, okay, so my mom was kind of inattentive because in her, alcoholism and her drunkenness, it's like she didn't notice a lot that was going on. And my dad just kind of tried to stay away and work a lot. And then when he would come home, he would just do nothing but yell. So we didn't really get a lot of guidance. And we took a bath every week because we did go to church on Sundays. So we took a bath before we went to church. And so I was going to school kind of not bathed, and not thinking it was weird. And the laundry was never done, so I would wear the same clothes every day a lot of times. And we lived in a nice, kind of like a neighborhood in Joplin, Missouri. Well, like the rough side of Joplin. No, we lived in a nice house in a nice area, in a nice street, kind of like, I don't know, Walnut Hill and Marsh, kind of. And Yet I was going to school unbathed and stuff, and kind of oily hair and all this. And I didn't know, I couldn't figure out where the disconnect was. People didn't seem to like me, and they called me stinky and stuff. Well, I also wet the bed every night, because whatever, I don't know why kids wet the bed till they're older, but I wet the bed until, I think, through the 8th grade. So I'm going to school, anyway, I don't need to describe, really, you kind of get the picture. A neighbor lady pulled me aside once, I'll never forget this, and it was really a great thing. I was on the front porch talking to her daughters and her son. Her daughters, we were probably comparing clothes or something. And she said, "Chris, come in here a minute." And I'm like, "What?" So she pulls me in the living room and she says, she puts something in my hand and she closes my hand around and she goes, "Now when little boys get to be about 11 or 12, they have to start taking a shower every day and wear this under your arms. It's called deodorant. You wear this under your arms and you try to wash your clothes and keep them clean and, wear different outfits every day." I'm like, okay. And I just felt, oh my God, you guys, the humiliation and embarrassment and, how could you not know this? It was all a what's wrong with me thing. Now I didn't realize it was a wonderful gift she gave me. So I went home and my next obsession was showering. And for 2 reasons, but we're going to talk about the other one. I was 12, so I took a lot of showers. And you should have seen my brother's friends. Anyway, I was really clear on one thing. Alcohol and drugs are bad. Alcohol and drugs cause your mother to sleep on the living room floor. I might have a friend, come in the house with me, and there's my mom laying on the sofa with one leg over the top of the sofa and one foot on the floor, and Mahalia Jackson is playing on the stereo, and there's a empty bottle of Jim Beam next to her. Or she might be like, "Does anyone want cookies?" Store-bought. She wasn't really a cook. But, you just never knew. And she was a mess. And, I went to this nice school. Sometimes she would come for various reasons. She'd come to school to find something out for me, some information, because I always kind of had my shit pulled together, well, to some degree. And I was always kind of telling her how to, I was a good Al-Anon, telling her how to live and how to do things. So she would come to school and ask me something in her nightgown and bathrobe. And anyway, it was a mess. So I knew that I was never going to drink because it was a terrible thing, So all through high school, I really never did. I wouldn't touch it. Somebody would say Thanksgiving, it'd be New Year's Eve, and they would say, "Let's have champagne, it'll be our first time, whatever." And I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't drink with my friends when they drank. And then when I started going to, I found this gay bar when I was like, 14. Somehow heard where this place was. By the time we moved to Springfield, Missouri, and there was a gay bar called the Galaxy. So I'd ride my bike down there and hang out. So, when I think about it now, a 14-year-old kid hanging around at the gay bar. And of course, it was 3 p.m, but that's kind of creepy, and there's a lot of creeps. So a bunch of that went on. It was probably not the best thing for me, but whatever. The way I feel about it now is this life stuff happens, and I used to think, I went through, as a lot of you know, I went through many years of feeling sorry for myself and feeling like, well, I still do sometimes, but I feel like I went through a lot of time where I blamed my childhood on everything on my childhood, and everything's wrong with me is because I had a bad childhood, and all this stuff. And I just feel like now we just get what we get, and you learn what you learn, and you do what you can with it. Quick story. My mom had I ever tell a quick story. My mom had this thing about certain things, like we'd go school shopping for school supplies, and of course my dad's saying, don't spend so much money. Kids are expensive and noisy. That's all he could think. And my mom wanted to buy me school supplies, but she would only buy me 8 Crayolas, and that was like a big thing. I wanted the 64 that you could have the sharpener, and stuff, and you could do little fine lines and stuff of color. And I wasn't much of an artist, but she would say, you can mix the colors, because she was kind of an artist. You can mix the colors to make other colors, like if you want to make orange, red, and yellow mix orange, whatever. So just in case you guys didn't know that. And, you guys had chartreuse and mahogany and, whatever. I don't even know what they're called. So I only had those 8 Crayolas, and I resented it. And to make skin color. Well, it's the only skin color I knew of in Missouri was this kind of peach. So you had to mix red and white, which kind of made it blotchy, and they looked like they were sick. My people never looked right. But the reason I bring that up is because I got to tell my mom many, many years later, after she was sober many years, still crazy, still nutty. She never really made sense, but at least she was sober and trying, and at least we had some long talks. She said one time, I feel so bad about those years and how I didn't take care of you kids, and I did such a terrible job. And I said, Mom, I don't feel bad about it. I always felt like, I felt bad about it before, but I don't anymore. Now I feel like I have more colors than most people. I don't have 8 Crayolas. I have that big briefcase of 128 that opens out and they slide up and you can see them all and all the names on them all. I have more colors than anybody. So I don't feel bad about my childhood anymore. And I was able to tell her that, and it was true, which was a huge moment for me and her. Because I kind of knew it, but I didn't know it. And when I said it, it became very real. She's passed now, and my dad and mom are both dead. Finally. No. And so I don't mean that. So I go, sorry, I haven't even drank yet. What time is it? Okay, so I'm 18, I think, and I'm at the bar at the Galaxy with my friends that are old. They're 20. And I want to know what it's like. So it's New Year's Eve, and I said, I want to know what it's like to be drunk, because everybody seems to like it, and everybody thinks it's so great. I want to do it too. So I feel like, everything was going to fall down around me if I drank, because it just seemed like it was just this terrible thing. And my mom was addicted to a bunch of meds and stuff too, typical stuff in the 70s. And so I go with my friend to the bar, and I started drinking whatever they gave me. We would get in because we were young and cute. They would let us in underage because we were young and cute. So I just was like, okay, I'll drink whatever. So they started handing me stuff, and I started drinking it. And it was no time before I felt, and I'll never forget this, how it felt. And I got this very few more times. I got it sometimes, but not that often. It was like this sense of well-being just settled over me. I'm just not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid somebody's going to be yelling at me. I'm not afraid somebody's going to be making fun of me. I'm not afraid that people don't want to talk to me. I can just walk up to anybody. It was really, you guys, it was just heaven. It was like I never really knew what I wanted until I got that. It's like, that's what I always wanted. And so it was on. I got so drunk that the world started disappearing. I was still thinking, I felt like I was thinking straight, but I felt like my body was kind of shutting down. It was hard to see. Everything was blurry, but I'm still kind of going, wow, it's weird how everything's blurry. I still feel pretty good, and then this red and blue shirt went by, and I grabbed it, my friend Jeff. I said, Jeff, is that you? He goes, yeah. He goes, are you okay? I go, yeah, I'm fine. He goes, do you want to leave? I said, yeah, let's go. And he goes, well, there's this after-bar party. And I'm like, well, let's just leave. So we go, we get in his car. And I said, what happens when you get sick from being drunk? And he said, well, are you going to get sick? And I said, no, I'm okay. I just wanted to know, for future reference. He said, well, not much in the future. He goes, well, you're going to feel like you're sick, and you'll tell me, and I'll pull over, and you'll get sick, and it'll be fine. And I said, okay, pull over. So he pulls over. It's so horrible, you guys. Stupid tuck in your shirt. Awful, I don't have to describe it. And then I get in the car, and I'm like, find something to wipe off my face or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. So that's the key. Throw it up, And I felt so much better. Let's go to the party. So we went out to this party and I got drunk again. So I had 2 pretty much blackout drunks. That second one was a blackout where it was gone. I was gone and I was dancing at this party and having fun. And I'm sure I was the first one to take my clothes off, which did happen often when I was in the wrong place at the wrong time sometimes. And that's all. I can't remember the rest. And then I woke up the next day at this house. I didn't know the people and stuff, or the person, over here. Well, like that girl says, I didn't wake up with a lot of nasty people. Never mind. I woke up with an arm that they cut off to escape. So I just kept doing it. Then I moved away to Dallas to become a flight attendant. I wanted to be a flight attendant, so I started applying at airlines, and I got this job for American, and they based me in Chicago, and I was there for 3 years and never got a DUI or anything, drinking all the time, blackout, but I didn't drive in Chicago. I didn't have a car there, so I was proof that I wasn't an alcoholic. I never got DUIs or anything, and didn't get arrested. This went on for a while. I was in Chicago. I was pretty miserable, and I kept chasing that feeling, and I just never seemed to get it anymore. And life happened, and boyfriends happened, and things happened, and stuff went on, and I went on trips, and somehow managed. I was called in sick whenever I was, I had a party to go to, or if I was hungover, or whatever, or somebody didn't call me back. I called in sick, and I missed 43 days in my first, I don't even know, in like 9 months with American, and my supervisor thought I was, in those days, if a guy was not feeling well, he had AIDS. That was the assumption. And I knew she thought that. So I let her think that. And that way that I wouldn't get fired. So I kept that job even through this time that I should have definitely been gotten rid of. One day, my friend likes me to tell the story, so I got to tell it. I couldn't seem to buy furniture, and I couldn't seem to get things straightened up in my apartment. I had an apartment, 1 room, and a tiny little closet kitchen and a closet, and a couple of windows that looked at a brick wall. It was a nice brick wall, and no furniture. And at some point, I got a plastic air mattress that I would inflate and sleep on, and those things always leak. So sometime in the middle of the night, my parquet floors, I'd go clunk. And I'd be, okay, get up and air it up, blow it up some more, and sleep the rest of the night. And at some point, and I had a Brentwood rocker, is that what it's called? The curvy wood, Brentwood? And it was, I got it from a trash thing, and it was like cracked on one side, so it rocked crooked, So I had a plastic mattress, Brentwood rocker, and I think I had a plant in the window. It's so dead. And so one day, and this is for months and months and months, I would get paychecks. I didn't make a lot of money, but, you make it work, right? And one day I kept thinking, when I have $60 after I've gone to the clubs for a few weeks of the month, if I still have $60 left, it was $60 to get one of those metal rail things that are a bed, the metal rail part, because I saw them in a store near me. And I was like, okay, the first thing I need to get is one of those, and then just buy a mattress or buy a used mattress, whatever, right? And I just couldn't seem to do it. And I was going to work with my uniform that I'd go, oh my God, I'd wake up, oh my God, I have to get to the airport and go on a trip. And I'd pick up my shirts out of the pile in the corner and I'm like, crap, and get a pan on the stove and boil water in it so I could kind of iron the shirt a little bit and then put the shirt on and my uniform on and go to work. So thank God my supervisor thought I had AIDS because, I could keep my job. And I just imagine how I looked, but it was kind of back to childhood, back to going to school, stinky, and comments were made, and it's too much to get into. But I'm coming home one night real late. It's freezing cold, Chicago. I see this mattress in Box Springs leaning against the dumpster. I'm like, Nirvana. So I get this mattress in Box Springs and I drag it onto the freight elevator and drag it up to my place on the 13th floor, no less. Perfect, right? 13. And And I slept on that for a long time, so I at least had a bed. But I got like the next day, I saw that it had kind of some colored spots, some brownish kind of spots on it. So I bought 2 sets of sheets to put on it to kind of shield me. But one night I came home again, it was so much more comfortable there now, but come home, I turned on the light, which was like a naked bulb, right? And so roaches went running away when I turned on the lights. And I'm like, oh man, even I can't live like this. So I got 2 or 3 cans of Raid from the 7-Eleven and sprayed all around the corners and everything. And you're not supposed to do that. And then go to sleep in a windowless room, spray some more Raid. Well, I was depressed anyway, so. And so I could just see that. He didn't kill the roaches, but he's gone. Anyway, I turn off the lights, go to sleep, and I hear this weird, I try to go to sleep, and I hear this weird sound, this clicking sound. I'm like, what is that? Do roaches make a noise when they die? Like, no, she's nodding. I guess roaches like click or something when they die. I'm like, what in the world is that? And I turn on the light, and what's happened is they're freaking out, and they're climbing up the walls and going across the ceiling, and the parquet floor, when they go and land on the floor, they click when they hit the floor. So it's raining roaches in my place. And so I knew what to do. I mean, if you really are an alcoholic, you know what to do when it gets like that. So I moved and back to Dallas, on down on. So I end up coming to AA. When I first came, it was, that's right. So I get diagnosed with HIV at some point, like in 88. Now, I had 2 boyfriends in the early 80s that died back in the days when it was, I think the first one died when it was called RID, and then it was called ARC, Acquired Immune Deficiency, or RID was, anyway, whatever. They were called different things at first. RID and ARC, do you remember that? And so they died back then, and so I always knew, my friends knew I had it, and I was kind of just waiting to die, and I was not bothered by dying. That really, I welcomed it, and I don't mean it like, I welcomed it. I really was hoping something like that would kill me because I just didn't see a way out of this madness. Childhood, and then the way I was doing my adulthood, it was just like, who would want that, right? And so I wasn't afraid to die, but I didn't want to get sick and be sick like that for months and just die slowly. That would be bad. So some doctor friend of mine talked me into going, a bar friend, talked me into going for a checkup. He says, you have hepatitis B, you've had it for a long time, and you're positive. So you need to straighten up your life and be healthy and take care of yourself, because you could have 5 years if you take care of yourself, maybe more. And so I knew what to do. I went straight to the bar because I was only going to be able to drink a little longer. So let's do it tonight, right? And then tonight, and then tonight, and then tonight. And it just went on, you guys. So I went to a friend of mine. I think I would go to a few meetings and stuff, and I was kind of hearing about the program, and I knew my mom was sober, but I didn't really want to turn out like her because she was, trust me, still nuts. And you guys see them in your home group. There's like somebody that you think they have 30 years of sobriety, and you're like, I don't even know. She's just nuts. So I had a friend told me, call the EAP at work. I wanted to call in sick the next day because I had a party to go to. And she said, call the EAP and you can maybe get out of your trip tomorrow. And that's all I heard, get out of my trip tomorrow, get out of the trip. So I called this EAP, and I didn't know what an EAP was. I found out later it stood for Employee Assistance Personnel or something like that. And good, I need assistance. And so I called her, and Helen Highland was her name. She's a nice lady. Talked to her for quite a while. She asked me a lot of questions. Do you drink? Well, I'm really depressed. I mean, if you had my childhood, you would be too. And so I drink sometimes because I'm depressed, but I don't really drink. That's why, I mean, I wouldn't if I wasn't depressed. So if I could go to like a therapist or something on you guys, then, because I don't have any money, then I could get straightened out, and then I'll be a good employee. So, I'm a good investment. So I tell her all this stuff, and then she asks me all these questions. I'm like, what did she ask me that for? And then at the end of the conversation, she goes, okay, well, I want you to call in sick for your trip tomorrow. And she said, and then I want you to get on this flight at this time and go to this treatment center in Minnesota. And I was like, oh, no. You have this a little mixed up. I just need to go to a therapist tomorrow and maybe get, antidepressants or something. Anyway, it was done. I'm already going, or I'd lose my job. And at that point, I knew I didn't have anything else. I mean, I didn't have the self-esteem to get a job anywhere else. I don't even know how I ended up there in the first place. It was just, I was being carried. And so I go to this treatment center the whole time thinking, this is crazy. And I knew that people would go to treatment centers in jail saying, I don't belong here, I didn't do it. But I was like, I really don't belong here. I really didn't do it. Like, you don't understand. This is not me. I know about alcoholism. I grew up with one, And so the first things they ask you, they take away all your stuff like, mouthwash? What is your problem? I didn't even use mouthwash. Why did I bring mouthwash? So take care of all this stuff and everything. And then they're like, do you ever hide liquor? And I'm like, no. And, I keep it in my glove box because you can get a little toasted before you go to the bar. It saves money. That's a cost-saving plan. That's not hiding liquor. And in my room, because I just don't want my roommate to drink it or something and come home and there's not any, so I have some in my room. It's not hidden under those blankets. It's just in there. And, so... Anyway, they asked a lot of questions too, and it was all like, it made you think, So I decided maybe I kind of am one. I at least needed this slowdown. And so I stayed sober 3 years and got to know a lot of people at Lambda when I got back. But I still felt like, and this hits me today too, I still felt like I was not an alcoholic. I just needed that therapy, and I was getting it. So I think I'm okay now. So I drank again, and it was kind of like, okay, I think I had one swirl at Uncle Julio's, and I was like, okay, do they still have those? And I was like, okay, so nothing really happened, okay. So then the next day I had 2 swirls at Uncle Julio's, and I was like, nothing really happened, see, it's okay. I wonder what would happen if I got drunk, would the world fall apart? So I got kind of drunk, and, it was planned, and I had like a boyfriend-ish at the time, and I got home okay, and I'm like, see, there's no big deal. You can do this when you want, and nothing happens. So it was on again, and everything starts going to hell again, and the credit starts going again, and everything was messed up, and then I'm about to be kicked out of my apartment, and and my car doesn't have insurance, and tags up to date, and the tires don't match, and everything like that, and I was always having to look out in the morning and see if my car, or in the afternoon when I woke up, to see if my car was there or if I had left it somewhere or at the bar, because I had no memory past standing in JRs. I'd be like, I'm standing in JRs, and then I kind of feel like maybe I was on a dance floor somewhere. And then the rest is, I have no idea. And I think I'm in a relationship. So, so I came back in. On a Saturday night. It was in the evening time. I was going to come down to the Madness down here. I was going to drive my, funky car down to Cedar Springs and park somewhere. And I'm thinking about where to park. And I went early because I was going to go somewhere to eat. I was real cut off from people because, so really didn't have anybody to hang out with. So I'm coming by myself down to this thing, and I was thinking how sad that was, that I was on this big celebration night. I was going to go by myself and hopefully meet him and live happily ever after, and he would be a prince. And, anyway. And all of a sudden I thought I could just turn left here instead of right and go down to that Lambda that I think is on 2727 Oak Lawn now. And I was like, I could go that way, or I could go that way. So here's the thing, you guys. I have those options every day. I could go that way, or I can go that way. Now, I am powerless over alcohol. I cannot keep from drinking today. But I can make the choice to go to a meeting, or I can read the book, or I can call my sponsor. I feel like I can't today make the choice not to drink. I just make the choice to do a program thing instead. And because I can make positive choices to do things. But for me to make a choice not to do something is just a setup for failure. If I decide not to do something, it's almost like I should decide not to like make $1 million or something, because it's like I can't do something I decide not to do. I can only do things I decide to do. Does that make sense? I don't even know if I feel like I didn't stay sober. I felt like I just went to meetings and did the program a little bit, and I just accidentally didn't drink anymore. So that night, I went in there, and that was October 26th, 1996. And so I have a lot of colors, you guys. That story about the crayons was just huge because it means a lot to me today. I still go through those phases, So I get sober, and I've had a few boyfriends. None of them have really lasted very long. I'm not real good at that part yet. I mean, hopefully there's enough time left to, explore that part of my life. But intimacy has not been a real one of my great things I've managed to do. But I've had a lot of lifetime commitments. I've done that a lot. So I think the things that stand out to me that I want to tell you about sobriety, number one, I had... I didn't know where you got self-esteem. I used to pray for self-esteem. I knew I was walking around feeling like a piece of crap, and I knew I was kind of doing the program, and I was doing what I should do in some ways, but it felt like I was just going to live my life as a person who hated himself. And I had this boyfriend that was not really treating me very well, and it was not a positive situation, and he lived with me in a house that I had gotten. So it was my, on paper, it was my house. He was... paying something to live there, but it was my house, luckily, because I had to ask him to leave. But here's the thing. When I got ready to ask him to move out, to me, all I ever really wanted was family. That thing that was missing when I was a little kid, that love of just somebody that you live with, that you care about and you talk with and communicate with, and you're just, they're there for you. That's the thing that I missed as a kid, that I wanted, that I craved, that for some reason God has seen fit that I'm not going to have that other than with friends, which, whatever. So I knew that I was going to have to ask him to leave, but I want to tell you, it was like saying, I don't know, it's like saying, like a person who all they ever wanted was enough money to live on. It's like saying, okay, now take that money and give it away. It was like, you're asking me to give away the one thing I've always wanted, even though it's broken and messed up and doesn't work very well. It was so hard, you guys. So I go and I pick up a phone in the days when you picked up a phone, and I picked up the phone. I mean, I guess we had cell phones, and I dial the number of his job, and he answers, and I said, you need to move out. What? You need to move out by Saturday. Anyway, I hung up the phone, and I thought I was going to feel the horribleness of having lost something, the one thing I wanted, but I didn't. What I felt was a little bit of self-esteem. And the weird thing was I knew what to call it. Like I just felt like I have more self-esteem now. I feel like I'm better than I was. Like I'm see, the light just came out. Thank you, Jesus. And I like when God agrees with me. So that was a huge lesson. And I learned that if I want self-esteem, then I need to do the thing that a person with self-esteem would do. And that's how I get self-esteem. I don't get it when a wand is waved or when the light comes on. I get it when I do the thing, the action that brings it. I learned that to love somebody is not a feeling necessarily. I didn't love my mother. I never did really love my mother or my dad. I got to where I liked her sometimes, and I could tolerate her the rest of the time, which is a long way. But I did learn how to love her as an action. My sponsor made me send cards on her birthday and stuff. Because, see, I punished that woman for what she did. For 10 or 15 years, she didn't get a card from me. I didn't remember her birthday. I didn't tell her, thanks, Mom, for being a good mom or anything like that, because I needed her to know how awful she was, right? So I made it clear. And so my sponsor he told me at that time that in order to be a good son, you do certain things. This has nothing to do with whether they're a good mother or father or friend or partner. You do loving things regardless of whether they deserve it. So I learned how to be loving to someone who I didn't think deserved it. And you guys, that's such a gift. If you can love somebody that doesn't deserve it, it's the most amazing thing ever, because that's what love is. I feel like we can create a few things as human beings. We can create certain kinds of art, things like that, and we can create love by doing it, and we can create hope with action. Like when I'm hopeless and I take an action, things change. And that's how people got across the United States in a fucking covered wagon with a horse. They had hope of being in California, and they started walking. And it creates hope and creates more hope and action, and you get to where you want to go, or you get somewhere better. So self-esteem and the colors and the learning how to love people. I suspect people that have partners have to learn that lesson about loving somebody who doesn't feel lovable today. I know I get that way with friends sometimes. I have to be loving to somebody that, today I don't think they deserve it. The thing about all this is that I always will look at things like it's me and here's the world. But the strange thing about it is that it's more like this. It's me and me. Like when I learn how to love you because you're not perfect, or I don't think you're perfect, or I learn how to see you in a different way, even though you're not the way I think you should be, it's really me. Like, I've started giving myself a break once in a while. I got this, I retired from that job at American after 35 years, and I didn't think I could do anything else. I'm not smart enough. I'm old now, I can't do anything. What am I going to do if I retire? But the job was going to hell, so I had an opportunity to get a little pension and leave. It wasn't enough to live on, though, so what the heck am I going to do? And I did this weird thing that I've learned to do in sobriety. It's like, well, my life in that area is unmanageable. I can't remember. I'm powerless over that area of my life, and my life is unmanageable. And I kind of automatically went there with the job thing. I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I thought, okay, do I believe God could restore me to sanity? I'm like, yeah, he could. And then I was like, and this 2 words popped into my head, real estate. And I was like, well, I've always kind of wanted to be a real estate agent. I mean, I know I'm not smart enough, but I could at least, try the school. Anyway, I'm a real estate agent. And it's worked okay. I mean, I'm not rich yet, so in case if any of you are single, I'm probably going to be. And but it's gone real well. And you know what? If you leave out the part about how it's gone, and you leave out what I am and what I've done and who I've been and all that kind of stuff, I have the opportunity to be happy today. Like, I can walk into this room and look at it and see the good things and love this room and love you people and enjoy these moments. And when I went through that depression and then had that stuff happen about looking at people differently and looking at myself differently, it just made me realize that this is all about enjoying life. Take joy in life. Enjoying is not something that happens to me. I mean, sometimes it does, but for the most part, it's something that you do. You take joy in life. Take joy in the moments. And you have to start with now, like this. Find what's right about this moment. This program, I used to think, step 2, restoring me to sanity. I was like, I was never sane. I was crazy as a kid, and I'm still not really sane. But I believe God could restore me to sanity. And the program has given me such an amazing life and such an amazingly different way to look at things, and the love that I have and the friends I have. I mean, I feel like I do have everything I ever wished for. I do have that family around me. It didn't take the exact form I wanted it to. I wanted it to be anyway, but it's amazing, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to help other people see how great it can be. And the steps changed this mess into way less of a mess. Thank you very much.